Episode 2 of the Go4TheGoldy Fitcast. Today my guest is a gentleman that I came across on TikTok, or should I say ZwiftTok. That means he rides his bike indoors on that fun game that you've watched me play a million times, Zwift. He seems like a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to talk to him. So before you listen, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Any follow is certainly appreciated, and if you have any guests that you'd like to see on the show, send them my way, and I will definitely look into it. So having said all that, enjoy the show.
Get ready to get inspired. This is the Go4TheGoldy podcast.
And just like that, folks, we're back for episode number 2 of the Go4TheGoldy Fitcast. My guest today, his name is Danny Enzo. I alluded to it in the intro, but I came across this guy on social media, Instagram, TikTok, and this guy makes some really creative and engaging content on social media, and I really am honored to have him grace the presence of the Go4TheGoldy Fitcast. So, Danny, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. It's much appreciated.
Thank you, and thank you for the kind words. I'm also honored to be here. This is my first YouTube interview, so I'm excited to spread the good word.
Wow, all right, first interview. I love it. Don't blow it. Okay.
I've been practicing all day, so.
Talking to yourself in the mirror? I've done that.
Exactly, yeah.
So I guess to get started here, why don't you, because I literally have just met you for the first time like 30 seconds ago.
Sure.
And, just for those listening, I want this to be as organic as possible. So I don't like to, unless obviously it's a friend of mine, I like to get to know the people that I have on the show along with you. I just know, I reach out to interesting people that I think are doing cool stuff in the fitness realm. And the idea of the show is to just engage with people who are inspiring, motivational, positive, and just doing cool stuff. So that's why Danny's here. So Danny, why don't you give us a little bit of information about you, kind of like who you are, where you're from, what you do, and anything in between.
Absolutely. So the name's Danny. I go by Danny Enzo on social media platforms, and people who see me on those platforms see me doing virtual bike racing primarily. But that's actually a hobby that came just during the pandemic. So just a couple of years. Biking in general is fairly new to me beyond that. But fitness and sports and competition is not new. It's been the undercurrent of my life for as long as I can remember. Started with swimming, soccer, basketball. But when the pandemic hit, a lot of those like almost institutions in my life that I rely on for physical and mental health shut down. So I was looking for the next best thing, and virtual bike racing came across my feed on TikTok, which I just downloaded. It was one of the first videos I randomly saw, and it's weird to think about how much has changed since then, but this has become passion and hobby since then, and has pretty much taken over my life. So when people ask me who you are and what you're doing right now, that is the answer. Besides my day job, which I don't really want to ever talk to people about, this is it. So that's the long and short of how I got here. I'm in North Carolina, which, as you know, a Texan, we have some pretty brutal summers. So I've also enjoyed the indoor aspect of this sport so far.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And a lot of interesting points there that we are going to get to in a second. But first, on the heels of getting to know you, Danny, we're going to play a little game called Icebreakers, okay?
Nice.
Sure, it's your job. You've had to do this before, but I have gone ahead and selected 5 questions from Poddex. If you're listening, Poddex, sponsorships are always available for me. So we're going to go through 5 questions here real quick, just to get you to know a little bit better, okay?
Nice. Yeah.
So starting with number 1, what's one bad habit that you're trying to get rid of?
I was just complaining about this is like kind of like a cop-out answer. When you're doing an interview and they're like, what's your weak point?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'm just too on time.
I care too much. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This feels that way, but I was just talking about it. I procrastinate. Like I clean instead of doing things that are actually on my to-do list.
Okay.
That's my apartment. That's my bike. So I have a habit of like tricking myself into being productive in other areas knowing full well that that productivity should be placed somewhere else.
No,
So that's the one that's top of mind right now.
I completely understand because I found myself doing that today as well. I'm in sales, so I do a lot of like cold calling or proactive calling, which
Sure.
isn't fun really for anybody. So I found myself just like an hour into the day, like, all right, like your toilet's clean enough, man. Like just handle something.
Exactly.
So that's not a cop out answer. I'll give you an A+ on that. Awesome.
Nice.
Okay, here's a good one. Ready?
Yeah.
Number 2, if you had to delete all but 3 apps from your smartphone, which ones would you keep?
Interesting. There's the there's the being honest with yourself answer to this question, and then there's the I'm being recorded answer to this question.
Millions of people are watching it right now.
Yeah. Hey, it might be one day. I would say, aside from like, let's say the basics remain on the phone, like alarm clock, for example.
Okay.
Let's just say those remain.
Yep.
In terms of the ones I've added,
We're going to talk native to the phone. Those are there, right? Like
those are there.
texting, the clock,
Exactly.
maps. Yeah, gotcha.
All right. Zwift has to be number 1.
Okay.
That's the bike racing platform I use and is probably my most used program right now. I think number 2 is going to be Reddit.
Ooh, okay.
That is my preferred like online forum space. And I find if I had to just like choose one social media and delete like TikTok and Instagram and stuff, I think that would be the healthiest one to remain on my phone.
Interesting. Okay.
And then I think the last one has to be my podcast player, Podcast Addict. That's pretty much how I fill all my non-talking moments in my life, podcasts and audiobooks. I listen to a lot of music when I ride bikes, but so I'd miss Spotify then. But I think I have an hour-long commute every day. Like I'm not getting through that without
That's an
without some
interesting
audio
answer
content.
because I've never been on Reddit, and
Oh, interesting.
yeah, I've never heard of that podcast app that you use. So that's interesting.
There we go. Hey, that's why we ask these questions, right?
Damn right. All right. Number 3. If you can instantly become one, what would you become an expert in?
A long time answer to this question has been a singer. I love singing, but I'm really bad at it. Everyone else in my family somehow is good at it, so it's always been a bit of a sore spot. So that's the gut reaction is singer. The other like sub answer, though, if I can just give like a second little one, would be like a polyglot.
Moving on.
I'd be a polyglot. Like I could speak all the languages of the world. The people that I see that can do that.
What's that word that you're saying? I've never.
Polyglot. GLOT, I think. GLOT. Glot. It's just a master of languages, essentially.
Okay.
And I think that is just an amazing skill that allows you to travel and connect with people in a really unique way.
That's pretty damn interesting. Yeah, I barely know English, so that's
I know,
my
right?
primary language. So that'd be cool. All right. Let's see here. Number 4. What is something you like that most people do not?
So I cook a lot, which a lot of people do like doing, but I love cleaning my own kitchen afterwards. So I get immense satisfaction out of like cooking the meal, whether it's for me or for other people, but also like it's kind of like an end point at the end of a night where I just feel like, okay, I've done my actions, I've done a good organizational thing, and I'm done. This is making me sound, along with my first answer, a little OCD, which I do not think I am.
Something to do, cleaning those dishes, it's taking all night. Yeah.
I don't know. For whatever reason, I've always found it very satisfying. So it makes me popular, at dinner parties. I'm definitely in there.
Yeah. All right.
Make it tidy.
Everyone's got their thing. Cleaning dishes is yours. My wife would love you.
Yeah, exactly. This is all about, these aren't real answers. I'm just setting myself up for a dating profile later.
That's awesome. Ladies. All right. So let's go with the last one. Question number 5. What are you currently curious about?
Currently curious about. I mean, the real answer and you might relate to this, is how people manage to make a living in content creation. It's how I'm kind of filling my research hours right now. I feel like I've got a good grasp of like content creation, but this idea of then putting yourself out there as a marketable asset is not something that comes very naturally to me. I spent like 2 hours trying to write an email to a brand that had reached out to me in like a normal way to like build that relationship. So I am curious. I think the problem, like that curiosity, isn't being satiated because so many of the resources out there are like gimmicky, like let me sell you a course so that you can figure out how to do this. So finding like organic content on how to build a platform and hopefully make it something that could be sustainable as an income is something I want to do, but I'm having trouble with. So I am curious about that.
All right, Danny. Well, those are some great answers, and that was icebreakers. So we learned you did an introduction. We learned that you are a polyglot, an aspiring polyglot, aspiring content creator. You like cleaning dishes, especially when you're procrastinating. You clean anything, and you like Reddit, your podcast app. What was the third one? Zwift, that's right. So that was a perfect lead-in that you're an aspiring content creator and Zwift, because I want to talk about that with you. So I didn't want to tell you this when you just hopped on because I wanted this to be a part of the podcast. I'm not exaggerating. Danny, I probably had, I'd say close to 10, if not more than 10, unrelated people. Because I'm originally from Buffalo, New York, okay? And I've lived in North Carolina. I've lived in Charlotte. I don't know what part of North Carolina are you from?
Yeah, Raleigh area. Okay, Triangle area.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I've lived in. I'm from Buffalo. I lived there for a long time. Lived in Charlotte. I've been in Texas for the past 5 years. Here in Dallas, I have people from all over sending me your profile. I'm not exaggerating. Because
and I know you use Zwift, right? I've seen.
I Zwift quite a bit. And I play video games on it too.
Nice.
So I think there's not too many of us that do.
No, there are not.
So people, the algorithms are working. You're getting
exactly.
Out there. You are getting out to my people.
Nice.
So I have so many questions I want to ask you. So I guess we'll start with, for me, I didn't even own a laptop before the pandemic started. So I had dabbled in Zwift for a bit, but I never really just kind of like went all in. And when the pandemic happened, I was like, screw it. I have nothing to do. Because I work in pro sports, so that was the first thing to go, right?
Sure.
So I had a lot of free time on my hands. Yeah,
absolutely.
It sucked, but it wound up working out because I'm back in pro sports, and now I have this little side thing I'm doing. But it sounds like a lot like you. You didn't really do Zwift or stream or anything, right, until the pandemic. How did you get into it? How did you come across it? You said it came across your feed.
Yeah. So I say like I kind of mentioned how I found Zwift and looking for that gap to fill in my fitness, but I've had an inclination. Let's separate these two things, Zwift and content creation, because there's a different path to each one of those. Okay. So just to answer like from a Zwift perspective and biking, I saw it on somebody's TikTok. I think his name, he's no longer active, but I think his handle was actually Zwift Talk.
Wow.
He did these voiceover videos. He was never in them. And as soon as I saw that, it was like a double whammy of like, I like the idea of this as a competitive outlet, but I also like the idea of like making my own content in this space. That came a little bit later, but so I almost immediately researched it, and then I bought off Facebook Marketplace without doing enough research at all an old spin bike, and jumped onto it. And after the first ride, which was mid-December 2021, I just started investing in it. I like knew immediately that I was going to fall in love with this. And it was really just like the competitive racing. That's all I've ever done on Zwift, which to my probably training detriment. So yeah, it was kind of a
man.
serendipitous.
Like when I like following you're racing like all the time, and it's like,
Yeah.
and it's funny because I use Lyft the exact opposite way.
Yep.
I don't know if you can see. Oh, you can't see because we're using a different camera.
I watched some of your Zwift videos out of curiosity. You're putting down some serious training. There's no question about it.
So I just did my first Ironman in July.
Oh yeah, nice.
I compete for the Team USA triathlon, like amateur team.
Nice.
Like the age
That's
group
awesome.
they call it. And I use Lyft as a training tool. So
Mm-hmm.
in Texas, obviously it's a bazillion degrees constantly, and just like anywhere, people drive like maniacs. They're not looking out for bikes, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I prefer to ride in here, and especially like with the pandemic, I just really fell in love with streaming and creating content like yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like what I use an app called Training Peaks that my training program, that's where they all live, and it integrates
Yeah.
with Zwift. So I can
Yeah.
put Zwift in erg mode and it connects. So like today, right before I got on, I did a 45-minute ride where I was going. It was basically 4, 5, 6, 5, 4 minutes period
Sure.
of
Sure.
like a pyramid
Uh-huh.
at 275, and then you'd have a 30.
What's your FTP?
My FTP is 290.
Nice.
So
Can I ask how much you weigh?
yeah, 320 pounds. No, I'm just kidding. I'm 160 pounds.
Okay. Damn, dude. Nice.
Thanks.
That's good.
It's like my worst sport of the three in triathlon. Cycling is, I just can't learn about. I mean, I can, but like, there's so much to know about the damn bike. Like, if you run, just pick a shoe you like and just run. You know what I mean? If you're like swimming, it's just you in the water. Just figure it out. With cycling, there's just so many damn X factors. Are you
Man,
on bikes?
I'm the opposite. I'm so the opposite.
Yeah.
Well, I swam through college. Swimming to me seems like the highest barrier to entry in terms of being at the top tier of a group of people.
Yes.
Some people are naturally at it, but I think that is the most technique driven of the three. Running to me though, my body doesn't do it. I just can't.
We know what I tell people about swimming is, I personally think it's one of the hardest sports in the world because it's one of the only sports, if not the only sport, where you cannot breathe whenever you want.
Totally.
And that's
Yeah.
a weird phenomenon, right? Like for people to like not be able to, if you're running, you can just start breathing faster. You can't start
Totally.
breathing faster while you're swimming. You need to rhythmically breathe, and that's a bizarre concept for people,
It's a whole nother skill set for sure.
Oh, for sure. And then, I mean, I don't know if you saw recently the Ironman in Ireland. A couple people died.
Yeah. The conditions were insane.
Yeah.
When I saw the videos of it.
It's getting ugly too. I think Ironman is suing like the city where it was because
Oh, really?
they're saying that Ironman forced them to go. Yeah, it's getting like pretty ugly.
Man.
But I've personally been at a couple races where people have died. It's
Wow.
it's scary. It's
Yeah.
the swimming thing is definitely
And the
something
open water swimming, especially. I mean, that is
Yeah.
just a weird. I mean, that's scary to me.
Exactly. Like swimming
I get nervous
individually is hard
boogie
enough,
boarding.
and then you throw your a couple hundred people in a open
Yeah.
water and hitting
Waves,
kicking each other.
jellyfish. Yeah.
Oh, I won't swim in the ocean. I refuse to swim in the ocean. I'm not
It's
doing that.
terrifying.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. We're freaking monkeys. We're not meant to be floating around in the ocean. You know what I mean?
Can I ask you another question before we get away from it? Because I am
this
curious
is my
about
podcast.
this.
I asked the damn question. I'm just kidding.
I grew up like bartending, like doing that 5 questions things was so tough for me not to like flip those questions right back at you. But I'm curious because what attracted me to Zwift immediately was the competition. You'll hear me say that a lot. It's the backbone of a lot of what I do.
And I noticed.
But I'm curious because you are training for competition. I mean, do you think if you weren't doing triathlons, if you weren't doing competitive events, you would be training as hard as you are? I mean, clearly you're a fitness person, but is that a backbone of your motivation or is that just kind of a bonus?
Yeah, so I'll give you the quick up and down of my kind of background here. So
Yeah.
I've always been an athlete. I played college football. I played college rugby. And
Nice.
I played professional arena football all through my 20s.
Damn,
So
nice.
I've always been an athlete, right? So when I was like 29, I was just kind of, I was working a full-time job. I was on the road every weekend with football. I was dating my, now wife, my girlfriend at the time, and like weekends were tough because I'm making like $200-300 a game. You're not making a lot of money, and
Sure.
it's just really for the love of the game at that point, And I feel like I was in a car accident every weekend, and I was trying to be competitive in something else. I was trying to find I knew that if I found triathlon earlier in life, I would have probably stopped football a lot earlier because it's
Interesting.
I just I knew in the back of my head that football is a finite thing. I can't go back to it when I'm 40. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna do this as long as I can, but I have to find something else to get these competitive juices out of me. So
Totally relate to that.
ironically, I was playing Grand Theft Auto when it first came out. 5, the new one. Well,
Sure.
the new one. And I was playing that, and in that you can do a triathlon.
Really?
Yeah, and you have to win 4 or 5 races around San Andreas before you can compete in the Ironman level triathlon.
Interesting.
It's like a whole side quest thing, right?
That's awesome.
So literally the race takes like a half hour, and you're literally just you're swimming and you're just pressing X. You're sitting there pressing X. So in that time, I had recently just done a race with my job, like a local little 5K thing, and I had a lot of fun. And I started doing those, and I was the captain of my swim team in high school, and I'm like,
Nice.
I got the swimming part, and I like running, and I'm like, anybody can freaking figure out how to ride a bike, right? So I was like, this was March of 16. And I was like, Dad, would you mind buying me a bike? I don't have the money to drop on a $2,000 bike right now. I'm like, I'll just, pay it back monthly or whatever. And, he's like, he was always supportive of me. He's at one of my football practices. He watched all my football games. So he's like,
Nice.
This will be the next step in your athletic, endeavors, right? So
I love that.
yeah, very cool. So it was St. Patrick's Day, day before, whenever the party was that weekend, we went out and got a bike and signed up for my first race. My first race was May 30th or 31st, Memorial Day weekend or maybe the weekend before, whatever, late May. Well, in the time that he bought me the bike and my first race, he passed away. So he never saw me do a race. So that bike all of a sudden just became the most important thing to me.
100%.
And I did my first race, and I came in second place in my age group, and it was just a local sprint in Buffalo, and I came in second place, and I was pretty pumped about it. And then this woman who was next to me at the triathlon, I saw her the next weekend at the Buffalo Marathon weekend. I was running the 5K there, and she's like, there's a national championships for that. You might have qualified. And I was like, for sprints? And she's like, yeah. So, sure as hell, me and my girlfriend, current wife, we go home and we look at the website, and sure as hell, there's a national championships. And then found out if you place into X whatever in nationals, there's a world championships. And then that just became my obsession. That moment right there, I just said, this is my goal, and I hit it the next year. I made nationals, and then from then on, I haven't not made worlds since. And I proposed to my wife in Switzerland at the world championships, and we've had some great adventures, and I've made some.
Does she compete or do any of the sports with you?
Exact opposite. She loves watching. She loves the experiences, but she's
probably for the best.
Not a triathlete.
So when you're on your bike Zwifting, are you thinking about okay, this is going to that next competition?
That's all I think about, literally.
Okay, I can relate to that. Yeah. But some people who just grind to be fit.
No, I would never do that.
I have a hard time with that.
No.
Yeah.
No, I would never do that. So my question for you, so you're racing every day. How do you pick what races to do, and what drives you? Because what you just said, you don't race, you don't cycle, right?
No.
So
no.
I mean, you're virtually racing, but you're just going hard as hell every day, basically.
Well, yeah. So I think the biggest thing that when people ask me for advice on my channel in comments or during the live streams, I'm very quick to tell them that I'm the wrong person to give fitness advice. This is a personal fitness hobby for me at the moment. So nothing that I do, I think, would ever be recommended for anybody except for somebody who is as motivated by like these weird little brief competitions as I am. But I'm doing about 5 days of racing a week, and some of those days I double up.
Wow.
The criteria for choosing, but it's not even a wow, because the races I choose are fairly short in the grand scheme of bike racing. My preference is crit races.
Okay.
So I love like the 10 to 30 mile range, preferably on the lower end of that range. And the less elevation, the better. I'm 87 kilograms. Climbing is not my favorite thing in the world. So the real decision factor though for choosing races is the time. I have pretty much one time a day that I can do this, and so I just find the best Zwift event for that time, and then I've been live streaming almost every one of them for the past month or so. So that's been an interesting experience as well.
But Danny, so this is exactly like why I'm pursuing, like what I'm doing with my whole shtick I have going on here. We all have our corners of the internet, and we're
Sure.
all
Absolutely.
trying to be unique, right?
Yep.
So, what I'm trying to do is I call myself a hybrid athlete because, I do these triathlons and stuff, but, I like you, we're very competitive people. We have a competitive past, and I want to get that out. And I compete in High Rocks, if you've ever heard of that.
I haven't.
So it's a global competition where it's put on by Puma.
Okay.
And it's 8 stations. It's a massive event, and they have tour stops all around the world. And it's 8 different stations, and you run a 1K in between each station. So it's like a 285-pound sled push for 50 meters, 185-pound sled pull for 50 meters, 1,000-meter ski erg, 1,000-meter row.
Just like tons of different disciplines. I mean,
like
that's crazy.
It's kind of like CrossFit, but not weights.
Yeah.
It's like all plyometric, explosive, functional stuff, right?
Huh.
And then the last event is 100 wall balls with a 14 or 12-pound ball on a 10-foot target. So it's pretty intense, obviously.
That sounds brutal. Yeah.
But not many endurance athletes, or any, are doing that.
Right.
And the opposite.
Yeah.
There's not many CrossFitters or like jack dudes that are doing endurance sports.
Yeah.
Now, this is kind of a roundabout way to get to my point here. Go figure. I'm talkative. I've talked to people.
Makes sense.
But this is why I don't have a coach, because if I were to have a coach, they would say, cut it out. Like, stop doing this.
Yeah.
But I'm on Team USA. I win the local races I'm at. I came in second place in the country at the duathlon in August or April. I've won High Rocks before. You know what I mean? Like, so like I'm successful at it.
Yeah.
Proving it can be done.
Right.
So the roundabout way the point I was trying to make is that if you were to ask someone for advice, they'd say, listen, Danny, you can't be racing every day. And that would discourage you, and you wouldn't be where you're at.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I find this a very relatable thinking point. I stew on this a lot. There is a part of me, which I'm sure there is a part of you, that wants to be better than where I am at. Like you're winning every local race. I'm sure you want to win every national race if you could. But the reality is, I'm 34. I'm not going to be a professional athlete. These people who are even doing like real crit races at a high level are dedicating so much more of their life to biking than I could ever even afford to. And I say that afford to, like financially afford to, time afford to, health, friends. I'm at a level of like time commitment where I'm really happy. I'm really enjoying it. But the part of this that's really, really catching my attention is the content creation, is the community building. Part of it is the fitness. Like my body feels amazing right now. And that's very satisfying. And I'm getting that satisfaction without competing. I'm in Cat C on Zwift. Like there's 2 levels above me in this weird little virtual platform that I have no care at all to be in. If I happen to get there, great. But you know what? It's a unique way of approaching the sport, I think. But I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm finding a lot of people are responding to it. We have a group of people that have started doing these races with me, that's growing quickly. So I think there's space for this part of the sport as well.
Well, I'd love to get in there with you.
Hell, that'd be amazing, man. That'd be super fun.
That's another reason. I mean, like, kind of selfishly, I just want to talk to people that I think are cool. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And just make a show about it. And I'm
I love
pretty
that.
close in age to you. I'm older. I'm 37. But I love the community of all this. And this day and age, there are just so many different ways to go back to what you said when we first started kind of talking is, content creation. There's so many ways to make money nowadays,
Yeah.
And I think you're providing a service, you're not, on an OnlyFans account, just like,
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, this is something that's actually providing, inspiration, motivation, education, a little bit of comedy and entertainment.
Oh, yeah. Pure entertainment. It's sometimes. Yeah.
This seems like crazy to people, right? Especially since you have a job.
Yes.
I mean, it seems great. People talk, like, my boss today was like, what do you got going on tonight? I'm like, I got a show. And like, why you have a show? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
get a lot of that.
Yeah. But, like, you don't have to understand. It's not for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Totally.
I would hope that, people that follow you on TikTok would enjoy listening to this and learning about you, And
Yeah. I think they will.
I hope so, But that's the point, is I want to talk to people that I want to be a part of a community. I want to talk to really cool, and then I want to interview someone that you find interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe connect you to someone new, and then that's where the network grows, and you just have there's so many negative ways to use the internet, but there's so many positive ways to use it too.
You're saying a lot of things that I say a lot. I mean, doing these live streams, I find myself just talking constantly. But a lot of the reoccurring thought, like, we're building out a Discord for our little community, and like sometimes I get like not emotional but like sentimental about the idea that enough people are interested to create space together around this very loose common ground of just positive fitness space.
What's that tell you? That tells you that people are looking for it,
Yes,
you found a
definitely.
great niche. You found something that people are really interested in, and there's a desire for that. So, I mean, props to you, man. I mean, how many followers do you have on TikTok?
We just passed 60,000 on the live stream last night.
You have 60,000 followers on TikTok.
Yeah, it's a very weird number to say out loud, but
and how long have you been on TikTok?
I started seriously posting about a year and a half ago. There were a couple of videos outside of my niche before that I've left up there just as a sign of growth, but yeah.
I don't want to brag, but I have 197. So I'd like to get to
TikTok. TikTok's a funny space, but your YouTube, you just got partner recently, which is awesome. That is a foreign space to me, like long form, and I think this is actually a very fascinating part of conversation that I don't get to talk to about with anybody. But long form for short form is really an interesting space right now. Just got done talking to Zwift about what I think the value of short form is versus their long form creators, which is traditionally where most of the content creation has been coming from.
Yeah.
Do you think about that at all? I mean, your forte has been YouTube so far.
I love YouTube because I love live streaming stuff, but it's finding a balance. Like, you have to find something that people are interested in, right? And you have to be organic and genuine too. People can tell when you're not truthful to who you are when you're putting stuff out on the internet. And
I agree.
For me, so I'm a coach at F45. I'm a trainer there. Have you ever heard of that gym? Do you know what that is?
I just from a recent video of yours when you were doing 2-a-days, but that's it.
So it's a wild place, man. It's great. It's functional training. It's HIIT training. 45 minutes. Mondays, Wednesdays are cardio days. Tuesday, Thursdays, Sundays are strength days. Fridays and Saturdays are a hybrid. It's perfect training for like everything that I do. It just It goes hand in hand.
Nice.
And so what I do is I just started vlogging my days at F45. I would just say, here's the workout, because every F45 in the world is on the same program.
Oh, nice.
So what I'll do is I'll just go in the morning. Like this morning, the workout we did is called Red Diamond. So I just record myself and just say, today's a Red Diamond workout. It's 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds of rest. You go down from there. Make sure that check an F45 out in the description below. See if there's one near you. They all got some kind of trial. Let's do the workout, and then I do the workout. Just a couple seconds of each workout, and then at the end I'm like, so that was it. Let me know what you think of that workout. That was right down. Boom. It's like a 3-4 minute video. But
is that? Would you say that's your average vlog length?
Typically
less than 5 minutes.
That's what I didn't always have them that short, and I realized that 10-minute videos people aren't watching, or they would just watch the part. Because you can see the viewership like when they're watching. So I just kind of go with the numbers, and that's what really helped me get there. But I like doing a lot of like for instance, I told you from Buffalo. So for the Bills home opener every year, I run 17 miles from North Buffalo to the stadium.
Nice. And
for the home opener, and my buddy live streams it. So people jump in the live stream. I call it kind of like a virtual tailgate, and I do.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
And I raise money for something that's relevant to Buffalo. So like last year, the shooting happened at a grocery store in Buffalo.
Right.
So there was a food pantry that helped a lot of the families of the victims. So I fundraised for them. And it's like gaining momentum every year. So this year I'm running dressed in a banana costume. So my buddy's going to do it too. And I'm going to but like you said, the long form stuff, like that live stream is like fun in the moment. But then
totally,
no one's going to watch 2 hours of me running in a banana costume. So I'm making it this year. I'm making stops along the way. So there's a real famous Buffalo pizza place on the way there. So I'm going to stop and get a slice of pizza.
Nice.
The Buffalo Sabres, our announcer just died, who's been the announcer forever. He's beloved. So they have a statue, not statue, his initials is like a big thing outside the arena. We're going to stop and do a shot for him.
Little things you can clip out from it.
Exactly. So I'll make a 5-minute video of the whole experience, and I think that will do well as opposed to just a live stream living. So
it's been really. We don't need to go down this path if you don't want to, but I could talk about this side of this all day. But so something that I've been doing. So I know you can relate to this. A huge part of this has been finding ways to make content creation more efficient, being faster at editing. But what I have found, I will never be a speed editor. That you have to grow up with it and be a professional. So I have found I have to make all of my advancements on the filming end. And so what I've been doing is I've been live streaming my races. I set up my recording situation so that's recording the exact setup that I will use in my vertical TikTok video. And then I have things that I say that I know I will clip out for my 1.5 minute long. That's my goal length because it works for Instagram and TikTok. So certain race introductions, certain information about the race, certain things towards the end, and certain things right afterwards that I will say. Now it sounds natural in the moment, but I know later that I will be cutting that out. So I get both of them all at once, and it's taking practice, but I'm getting better at it, and it's really making me faster on the editing side, which is nice.
That's the freaking worst part is the editing.
Oh,
I just
100%.
can't stand it. It's.
I can't wait till I'm big enough to outsource that.
Right? Oh my God, I think about that all the time. You're absolutely right. As we're sitting here, I want to make the podcast more interesting to listen to. So I'm gonna add sound effects and all kinds of stuff. But I just have to listen to this whole conversation again and play some where they're applicable. You know what I mean?
Totally.
I didn't. I should be waving at the camera. All right,
or a clicker or something. Yeah.
But you're right about that, man. That's what people don't realize is how much time and effort goes into that minute 30 thing that you're putting on TikTok or Instagram.
100%.
There's so much work that freaking goes in the back end of it, and then what song you're going to use if you're using an audio song, and
that's why I'm not on YouTube because I get copyright flagged every time. I rely on music for my videos.
Yeah, I paid. Do you use Pretzel, or do you ever heard of Pretzel Music? So. I use Streamlabs OBS to stream. Yeah. And Pretzel, I pay it's something insignificant. It's $8 a month or 10 or something like that. But with it, you get Pretzel Music, and it's all legal.
Oh, okay.
Music streaming. So
Gotcha.
you can pick the vibes. If you like for cycling, I usually pick like EDM or something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't get dinged for that kind of stuff.
That's nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
little things like that you figure out along the way.
Yeah, and so
That's interesting.
You know, I'll
Yeah.
still screw up here once in here or there, but
Oh,
yeah, that's
100%.
so with your site. So I don't know if you can. Oh, you can't see it, but not only do I have a bike, I have a treadmill too. So I'm doing. Zwift
Have you been doing the
bike.
Zwift run?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. How do
Yeah.
you like it?
The problem is my treadmill. I don't think is synced up. Like I run a ton. Like I'm a runner, so I know what an 8-minute mile feels like. And when I put the treadmill at an 8-minute mile, it's flying.
It's not.
Yeah, I'm
Really?
like going way harder than what an actual 8. So that's something I got to figure out.
Do you wear something on your person, or is it just synced to the?
The treadmill's Bluetooth,
treadmill.
so it just
Okay.
So just like, well, how do you do your Zwift? Is it a smart trainer that you have or?
Yeah, smart trainer. Yeah.
What do you have? What trainer?
The Wahoo Kicker Core,
Hell yeah, man.
which I like.
I didn't get that.
But I
'cause
want-
it's too expensive.
It was too expensive. It really was too expensive. But the Zwift Hub hadn't come out yet, and
Yeah, well, I was waiting for that. I mean, I didn't know what's coming. I was just, but yeah,
Yeah.
I have this Zwift hub. That's what I use.
yeah.
But so just like that, it connects to Zwift.
Okay.
But you use your phone, right?
Well, I run the game on my PC so that I can stream it, but I use the Zwift Companion app a lot. Less so now that I have the Zwift Play controllers. Have you picked those up?
No, but I have to get those. Those look sweet. Do you like
You
them?
tag them in enough videos, they'll send you a pair.
Really? Okay.
I didn't.
Lesson learned. All right. Well, I'm not big enough.
It's strategic use of brand tagging is something I'm slowly figuring out.
Maybe once I get to 200 followers on TikTok, maybe then, you know what I mean? They're not going to.
Hey, once this comes out, I've been talking about this on my live streams, and people are hyped. So I'll give you the shout out.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate that. Well,
Of course.
I hope that I always listen to feedback. I want to do content that I think people will find interesting and educational, and I just I think I don't want to talk to the top level elite people. I want to talk to the average people, not average, but like I want to talk to the people that can relate to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what you're doing is pretty damn impressive to go from 0 to 60,000 in a year and a half.
Thanks,
To
man.
be racing every day. You didn't have any experience with this stuff. I want someone to watch this and go, you know what? Let me just try it. If this guy can do that, I can at least try it out, or try to move in that direction or something.
I love that, man. Yeah, we get those comments. I say it all the time. It is my favorite part. I mean, at this point, probably dozens of people have joined Zwift because of my videos and then join the live streams, and that is the coolest feeling in the world. I can't tell you how to be good at this sport, but if I can get you into it, then I feel quite satisfied.
But you don't have to. You don't have to be good to be a content.
Exactly.
creator. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because there's so many. Like I was at the national championship for triathlon a couple weeks ago in Milwaukee, and this was the first year that they had the pro triathlon the PTO that it's called.
Okay.
It's kind of like the NFL, but for triathlon.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's why that's a world because it's really competitive. The top winner at one of those races gets $100,000, and then it basically like halves every spot down.
Wow.
So it's like 100.
So there's a lot of incentive to go up.
25, 12. Yeah, it's crazy. So like, I think there's maybe like 30 something people in the field, and I think the top 28 make money. But if you're in 28th place, you make like $2,500. So
Okay.
it's very competitive, right? Like
Yeah.
every slot is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But anyway, a lot of these guys, I've never heard of, and I'm like, my life is triathlon. You go online and their social media presence is like nothing.
Right.
And if anyone were to be able to monetize the sport, it would be these guys.
I think about that all the time. When I was watching the Tour de France, I thought about that. Like none of these guys, but that's because their entire life is biking or triathlon.
Like, you have the money, like get a social media guy. They're at the point where they can outsource it. Just have someone record your stuff and make stuff for you, and you will be big. And so, like, it's kind of like we're in opposite positions, right? Like, we don't have the skill of these elite guys, but we're trying to inspire and motivate and be engaging. Whereas these elite guys just don't do any of that kind of stuff.
Right. And obviously there's different interests. Some people don't want the notoriety or the constant pressure to put content and then deal with the repercussions of that, good and bad. But I to toot our horns, I think they're like the gift of gab, and to communicate and be charismatic on camera is not natural for a lot of people. Yeah. And so I think the folks that kind of are naturally great athletes and are good on camera are the Easter eggs, or the unicorns of the area.
It's a very unique skill set for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I have this conversation with my wife quite a bit because I'm an only child, and I think that has a lot to do with it because I've always kind of had to like try to fit in on my own. You know what I mean? So
sure. I've
gotten very good at just like talking to people, and I'm just so inquisitive because I've never had the "you will be this" instilled on me, right? So it's always just been like, go figure it out. So I've always, to this day, as a 37-year-old, I'm still figuring things out, and I love watching
100%.
people who are passionate at what they do, and I love coming across people who, you're all in, man. Like, you can tell. So, like, I want to talk to you. Let's hear it. Like that's.
Hell yeah.
And it's an infinite amount of that, and I hope that my curiosity rubs off and your passion rubs off on people. And it obviously.
Well, yeah, I think you'll. I don't know. I love the idea of what you're doing because. The idea of, I don't know, just getting asked by somebody to talk about this thing that I've dedicated 2 years to, like all my free time, is very exciting. And, I don't talk about this to my friends or family that much because there's only so much you can talk about this until they are tired of hearing about it. So the chance to geek out about it, and it's not just me, I think I would speak for anybody in the fitness space who is really dedicated to their sport. There's not too many outlets to really geek out about this stuff. So I think what you're doing is a really cool pursuit, and I'm excited to see who you get into that chair next.
What took me a while to understand in this pursuit of content creation is, like you said, like, my friends and family are like the least interested of anyone that I'm doing.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, my friends are like, dude, stop talking to people. You know what I mean? Or like, my wife is into it, obviously, so she's, that's all I really care about.
Absolutely.
But really, nobody else is like, hey, man, how did your interview go? Or, how'd your race go? Or, like, no one cares. So you just got to go find the people that do care and then talk to them. That's
exactly
what I'm doing,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's what Zwift and live streaming and all that does, is you can create these communities. And I never even heard of Zwift Talk until you. And then I opened up my world and TikTok, I'm like, oh, great. Now I need something else to be obsessed with.
I'm still finding my space in it. I do feel like an outsider to like bike content creation because I'm so much less serious than most of the people here.
You always feel like an outsider. There's a bunch of dicks on there. Like
there are, and I've encountered a few of them. Yeah. But you may have seen. I do not. I do not stay quiet when the trolls come knocking.
So for those who don't know what he's talking about here, if you look at his TikTok, and all of his information is going to be in the description below. So go ahead, follow him on all social media platforms. What do you got? TikTok? What else you got? Anything else?
TikTok and Instagram are the big ones. Danny Enzo and Danny Enzo Bikes on Instagram are the big ones.
Perfect. And we'll have the link in the description below, so you go ahead and click that. So click that. But what I was saying was, on social media and, just in general, the internet is littered with trolls. Well, what Danny will do is he'll take a nasty comment that somebody says, and then he'll literally just make a reel about it. So, like, you got these, jamokes saying, go touch grass, or, why
go
would
bike
you ride
outside, bro.
Loser? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so talk about, like, your most recent, or one of your most recent posts about that. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I take a few different approaches, but my favorite one is just to take the comment, which is on every single race video of mine. Somebody will say, go outside, bro, or some variation of that. And I stitch the comment onto a video of me just loving my hobby. And I don't think there's any better response to a troll like that, to be like, oh, you clearly are so unsatisfied that you're leaving mean comments on this random dude's profile, and here I am loving myself on my little nerdy bike. So just proud of it, and I'll just post a clip of me kicking butt in a race. That's my favorite response.
Too is like if if you're gonna call me a loser for riding my bike inside, what are you for watching me ride my bike inside? You know what I mean? What the hell?
You're just sitting on your phone too, bro.
Yeah, like you just can't let it bother you. You know, like I like to post the ghosts as they call it. You know, like I'll just post and then just don't look at the comments, screw them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, but it is fun to dive in and just if you can handle it, right? A lot of people can't handle it, but again, it's a very unique skill set to talk to strangers on the internet, expose. It's an unsettling feeling putting yourself out there constantly. Right?
Huge, yeah. And I've had to deal with like some interesting sides of that. That's certainly a side of this as you grow that I think becomes more real. That you do have to confront. And do I want to say this person in the live chat is my sister?
Yeah.
Like, do I want people to know I have family? Like, where do I live? Things like that. But just, with the haters coming in, part of it is like vigilantism. Like, I want to make them feel dumb because they are dumb. Yep. And I totally understand ignoring them. But every once in a while, you get somebody who's just like, my bad, dude, or like just disappears or blocks or deletes their profile. That to me is a victory for everyone else they were bugging.
Screw the haters. You're riding your bike, you're putting yourself out there, and you got a dream and a vision. So screw them,
Screw up.
So, Danny, we're gonna move on here. We're gonna end the show with 10 rapid fire questions.
Okay.
These are gonna be one-word answers.
One word.
Hold it. First of all, hold that water bottle up. What do you got? Yeah, shout out Zwift.
A little Zwift
baby.
Swag.
Zwift,
it only took 60,000 followers to get 2 water bottles and a towel, so.
Hey, that's more than I got, so that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, cool. So we're going to go 10 rapid-fire questions. These are going to be questions that are going to be pretty standard at the end of shows, because this is the Go for the Goldy Fitcast, right? So we are all into fitness one way or another.
Sure. So
here we go. 10 questions in a row. Number 1, cardio or weights?
Cardio.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rank, or how much do you like stretching?
1.
How many Zwift races have you done, would you guess?
North of 400.
Wow. All right. What's your favorite sport to watch?
Currently, professional cycling has caught my interest. Cycling. Sorry, one word.
No, that's fine. No, that's good. Gym workouts, outdoor workouts, or at-home workouts? I think I know the answer to this one.
At home.
What's your max bench press? Have you ever done that?
I would love to circle back to this. I used to be really into weightlifting, but I don't know my max bench. I don't want to say a number and get clowned for it. So
that's fair.
It's been too long.
We'll stick with 315. All right.
There you go.
What's more
whatever yours is.
What's more impressive, the 100-meter dash world record or the marathon world record?
Marathon.
Are you a morning or night workout person?
Night.
High intensity or low intensity workouts? Which one do you prefer?
High.
Pull-ups or push-ups? What do you like better?
Pull-ups.
Boom! Those are your 10 questions. That wasn't too bad, right?
Not too bad at all.
I like it. I find it interesting to see the combination there.
Yeah.
So before we go, I want to touch on something you just mentioned. You used to be into lifting, huh?
Man, that was one of my fitness stages. And hearing you talk about F45, was it F45?
Yeah, F45.
Yeah. That I think is the thing that has been missing in my fitness life, which is like a gym family, and even when CrossFit first came out, the competition around it also really intrigued me. But I used to be really into lifting, the compound lift specifically, and my body had never felt better just overall. It's something I really want to get back into, but there's not a gap in my day with what I'm doing right now. Yeah. And it's something I think about a lot. And then when you reached out to me and I started watching your videos, watching people do it and talk about how good they feel from it, it triggers it all again. So I think it's back in my future. We'll see. Maybe we'll start it
in Raleigh. So
okay. All right.
Check it out, man.
Maybe we'll start there.
No, I think that I talk about this quite a bit in my videos, but I think, well, one of the things that I'm trying to prove to being a hybrid athlete is you can have muscle and do endurance sports too. And I'm not saying
Absolutely.
I'm jacked. You know, like there's dudes that are just
You're pretty jacked.
there's jacked dudes. And
Yeah, sure.
what I just want to prove that like you can be all these things, because like with endurance athletes specifically, they're constantly like, if you were to say, excuse me, like even a triathlete especially, you got 3 sports you're juggling. You got running, biking, swimming. So then fourth would be, lifting, or strength training, we'll call it. Well, that's the first to go. Nobody's
100%.
Yeah, and especially a lot of endurance athletes that have grown up never really gotten to lifting, so they don't even know what to do. And I think there's a negative connotation between like body type and endurance sports. I think there's a lot of people that avoid, cycling or diving into marathon training. It's like, no, I don't want to get super skinny. I don't want to.
It definitely is. Yeah, absolutely. And vice versa. A lot of cyclists, in my experience, really stay away because weight is the enemy for a lot of like serious cyclists.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm trying to prove that you can kind of like strike that balance of both, because they're both important. Like strength training is essential to graceful aging. It really is.
Oh, I like that. That sounds like a quote.
Yeah, we talk about it at 45 every day, but no, I came up with that. Well, listen, I think this is a good spot to wrap it up. Danny,
Absolutely.
I thank you so much for coming on the show. It was really nice to get to know you. Anything that we missed, that we didn't cover, that you expected that we were going to talk about, or the floor is yours for the end here, man.
I really appreciate having the floor, but I think we covered some talking points that I was excited to geek out about on a recording. I'll just say we kind of flirted with the idea. I think we should probably collab on some content, get you in a Zwift race, and let's see what we can do.
You give me a day, and I'll clear my schedule. I want more than to do that, man. I think that would be a lot of fun. We do like a dual stream or something like that.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I mean, I'd say goodbye, but I mean, I know we're going to be
see you later.
hanging out virtually a lot, man. We got a lot in common, so looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, I look forward to connecting down the path and seeing who else you bring on this, because I'm excited to see you ask these same questions to other folks.
Well, again, thanks for your time, Danny. Thanks for watching, everybody out there. Remember, Instagram, TikTok, follow this man. He is incredibly entertaining. And he has a lot going on, and he is just getting started, and he's already at 6. Let's get him to 100,000. Let's do it.
I like that.
Let's do it. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you for another Go for the Goldie Fitcast. See you, Danny.
Take care, man.